Hello and welcome to another episode of Drams Delivered. This month we've got something you might recognise part of, but maybe not all of. So we have got something from the Thompson brothers that we have featured in a previous episode with SRV5. Now the feedback from that was great and we thought we'd try something different from them. So for those who are maybe new to the club, it's definitely worth talking a little bit about who the Thompson brothers are. They are a couple of brothers called Phil and Simon who live in Dornoch, and they operated the Dornoch Whisky Castle, and they did this for about, what, 20 years, was it around that they did it for?
I'm not actually sure.
I think it was around 15 to 20 years, and proper whiskey geeks, and they are now making their own whiskey. Now, they're doing it on a very, very small scale, and they've got a very good reputation within the whiskey world. So their whiskey is very, very small batch, but whilst making their own whiskey, they also have been bottling other distilleries' casks, acting as an independent bottler. Now, even the independent bottles from Dornoch became very sought after and were appearing on secondary markets on auctions, which was not the kind of spirit they were released in, and kind of was very frustrating for the guys at Dornoch, for drinkers, because the liquid was always very good liquid and it was supposed to be drunk. So as a result of that, they still do their independent single casks, but they've kind of moved into slightly different releases that are a bit more widely available. So do you want to tell us a little bit about this one, John?
Yes, so as Matt was saying, the idea was to create something that was more widely available, and that was the SRV5 that we sampled probably about 6 months ago now.
6 months ago, maybe, yeah, around that, yeah.
But this bottle is kind of in a similar spirit. So the idea is that this will be available for quite some time to come. So this is a 6-year-old blended Scotch whisky. So it's not a blended malt. There is some grain whisky in here, but I have been informed that the malt percentage of this is very high for a blend. And it's mainly well-matured sherry cask single malt whisky that's in this blend. So a little bit on the back of the label that caught my eye. This small batch blended Scotch whisky is composed of carefully chosen single malt and single grain whiskies. They have all been aged for more than 6 years before being blended and rested. We have selected the components of the whisky to celebrate sherry maturation, and its character is inspired by the sherry-forward blends of the past. Now, that's touching on a few points there. Blends used to contain a lot more malt than they do now. They used to be much better quality, and sherry casks back in the day, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, were much easier to come by. But sherry cask whiskies become incredibly popular over the past sort of 20 or so years, and it's getting harder all the time to find good quality wood. And blends as well have completely changed and contain much more grain now. But this is, yeah, as I say, an extremely high percentage of single malt and very sherry forward. So without any further ado, let's have a little taste and see what tasting notes we can pick up on. Ready?
Ready. Solid.
Good pop. Solid pop there.
Now when I see a whiskey being poured that colour, I am probably one of those people who's probably added to the kind of sherry kind of fanfare at the moment. I just love sherry cask whiskey. I think it just works really, really well. I do get some people say it can overpower a whiskey, but for me that sort of sweet kind of sherried style is kind of what I really, really enjoy. So even just looking at the colour of this, I think gets me quite excited. Mm-hmm. Natural colour?
Well, I would imagine it would be. Let's have a little look. It doesn't say on the label, but I cannot imagine the Thompson Bros ever adding colouring.
No, me neither.
So yes, I would imagine natural colour. It's been diluted down to 46%, which is a lovely strength. I mean, if you're a real whiskey fan, 46. I heard someone the other day saying 46 is the new 40. Which I would agree with. It's got a lovely sort of strength to it. Yeah, let's have a smell. First of all, I just get milk chocolate straight away, jumping out of the glass.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Raisins, sherry.
It's the classic kind of sherry cask notes, isn't it? People always talk about dried fruits, Christmas cake, spice, and it can be a bit of a cliche, but actually, when it's in a glass like that, it's absolutely, you know, perfect. I think it's great.
I think the way I would describe this kind of whiskey, and this one in particular, is pretty hard to beat. Just a real classic flavour profile.
Yeah. So for, like, I mean, just smelling it as well, it doesn't, when you hear that it's 6 years old, you might think, oh, this is going to be a bit rough around the edges or it needs more time, but that's a reference to the youngest whiskey in the bottle. So there will be older whiskey in there. How old, we don't know. And what is the whiskey, we're not sure. But whatever it is, it smells and I think tastes pretty good. So without further ado, I think we'll have a wee taste.
Yeah.
Slange.
Slange away.
Oh, it's good.
It's very good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So drinkable, that. And
quaffable.
Quaffable, yeah. One of the things we also love about the Thompson Brothers bottlings is they have real shelf presence. Even their single casks, and this here is just so unique and kind of a modern twist on kind of whiskey bottle design. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this one, John?
Yes, so on the front of the label here, you can see that you've got two different kinds of still. So on the left there, you've got a pot still, which is where the malt whiskey will have been produced. And then on the right, you've got some column stills, which is what you use to produce grain whiskey. So obviously you've got malt and grain in here, and then I believe in the middle that's supposed to be a barrel where the two have been blended together.
What does it retail at, John?
I think you're somewhere between about 34, 36 pounds. That rough kind of ballpark. And I think that is an absolute bargain for this quality of whiskey.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's readily available, should be for some time to come, I've been informed. So yeah, if you're a fan, we recommend that you stock up, because it won't be around forever, but for now, it's, I think probably the best value blend on the market.
It's bang for your buck, isn't it? For sure, for sure. Well, hopefully you guys enjoy it, and hopefully you can get your hands on some of it and continue to enjoy some of the great stuff the Thompson Brothers are releasing. So, Slange, cheers.
Slange.